everyone. Welcome to the Regional Radio Sports Network. We're broadcasting live and in living color from Bethel Brady's, State Road 23 in Granger, Indiana. My name is Paul Condry. Glad you can join us here for the Coach's Box. It's the Legends Edition alongside Ron Hecklinski. Glad that you could be here with us. Special thanks to Bethel Brady's for their hosting our radio program. And heck, I know I'm excited about this because I got one of my favorite people on planet Earth here with me today, my good friend Fran McDonald. We have been friends and business partners in a wide variety of things, all the way back to the beginning of Regional Radio Sports. Regional Radio Sports celebrating its 30th year, and Fran's been a part of it really since the beginning, so I'm stoked about this. We also have Brian Radigan, who's from South Bend Orthopedics, is scheduled to be with us here tonight, so should be a fun field guy. Both these guys played football at Notre Dame. That's good, bad, or indifferent, depending upon the standpoint you want to be. But I'll be the odd man out on this one. Fran knows my non-allegiance to Notre Dame because I'm the Big Ten guy. But we're also doing something new tonight because we're also doing this via a live stream. And so this will be ready to go at some later time when we get through the editing thing. So welcome to the program. I know you're excited about doing this. This was one of our collective brainchilds to put this together. So let's give it a whirl.
You and I have talked about this for quite some time, and we really didn't know how to put it together. We didn't know when we would get it done. And late this past summer, we figured this out. And we talked about the word legend. You know, and when I talk about the word legend, I think about somebody who makes an impact not only in what they did from an athletic standpoint, but the impact they make in everyday life. And I can't tell you what an impact Fran McDonald has made, not only in my life, but in the lives of countless people. And then Dr. Radigan, who's probably tied up in surgery. He's probably putting that last screw in his shoulder right now, as he did mine. He's awesome too. He's had a great athletic career. Both Fran and Dr. Radigan obviously played football at Notre Dame. And we're obviously a part of two different regimes.
Sure.
And Fran was involved with the great. And when you mention the word legend, you always got to talk about Eric Parsegian. And then Dr. Radigan was involved with Sweet Lou Holtz, man. I mean, I've had a sign in my office for 100 years that has Lou Holtz there. And Lou saying, I've never learned anything by talking. I've learned it all by listening. And so those are just great areas that we can talk about tonight. So obviously we're going to start with Fran McDonald.
We will. We're going to take a quick timeout and come back with more. You are listening to the Coach's Box at 91.1 FM. The Globe will be back with more here live from Bethel Brady's as we continue on the Regional Radio Sports Network. Welcome back here to Bethel Brady's on State Road 23 in beautiful Granger, Indiana. I'm Paul Condry. That's Coach Ron Hecklinski. Of course, Ron, big part of Indiana high school basketball, one of the legends of our game. He, in his own right, could put him into that category. But I'm blessed to hang out with this guy who on my immediate right, for those of you who are watching on the stream. Fran McDonald is really, the story is one of the most unique, and it is really about the American spirit. It's about what makes America great, because there's a guy, blue-collar kid, grew up and worked his keister off and has done some amazing things, not only playing football at the University of Notre Dame, but his business adventures, if you will. I like to use that term, adventures, because that's what they really, really are. But his adventures at McDonald Physical Therapy and Sports Rehab have been legendary. And Fran, let's start from the beginning. I mean, because I think that's a really, really pivotal part of getting to where you're at right now. The home life puts you in a position to be here, and I think that's a great place to start. So where did it all start?
The idea of the roots.
Yeah.
Well, I'm one of 10, 7 sisters, 10 and 12 years. Faith was a big part of our life growing up, and hard work. And if that's the 2 worst things parents give you.
I like that formula.
Exactly.
That's what America was built on.
Yeah, and everything we did, the girls worked in a restaurant up the street. We dug clams and worked on fishing boats. All money went to the family to pay for bills. So you got used to that culture of, we're here for one another. We're here to help one another. The some of the parts are not as great as the whole. You know, we got to just develop each other as a team. We grew up with that concept. So I think my parents, you know, really brought that to my life and to all of us. And I think that helped with the hard work ethic that you always get things done the way my dad liked them to be done.
The reality of it was you weren't on the cover of Sports Illustrated when you were playing at Notre Dame. You were one of those guys that Paul Condry's all too familiar with, that sat on the back end of that bench, but
Absolutely.
played a pivotal role. And I'm a firm believer, and heck, I know you believe this. There are kids that play 2 or 3 minutes a game that make just as big an impact on your team's success as a guy who's playing 35 minutes or 40 minutes a game, whatever the case may be, depending upon the amount of minutes you have in whichever, whether it be high school or college basketball, whatever the case may be. Those program kids, and to me, when I think of Fran McDonald and Paul Condry, I put myself in the same category.
Thank you.
We were program kids.
Mm-hmm.
We were kids that got cut. In my case, I got cut. Last kid cut on my basketball team in my sophomore year, and I get that. So I remember what it was like going back out and being a part of the program. But Fran and I are a byproduct of hard work, faith, dedication, and just a vision to do something that God's called us to. Mm-hmm. And I think the one thing that I want to toot both Fran and my own horn on is simply this: we have bloomed where God planted us. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really what we've done. Our faith component has been the bedrock of our business and how we run our business. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing that I love the most about this guy here. It's not because he played at Notre Dame or because he did a great job of fixing my shoulder or working on my knees. That it's a relevant scenario. He's great at that. Don't get me wrong. But it's because of what he's done over the course of his business, the way he runs his business, the way he's gone about it. He's truly a legend in my mind. And I don't throw that term out very much, and I know you don't either.
Well, I will tell you this much. So, and I heard you use the term program kids, but I'll bet when you were playing, you never knew what that term was.
Oh, I did not. No.
Your abilities, your time to be involved in whatever team you were on, and in your case, high school football in Long Island. Are you kidding me?
Right.
I mean, playing every play, offense, defense, and then having the opportunity to come to Notre Dame and walk on and play. There was no program kid in your mind. In your mind, it was competition, and you get to compete. I'm pretty sure that's how you felt, right?
No question. I mean, I think we spoke about it. You know, you come on as a walk-on then, 120 scholarships. They don't need you. It's not like 82 now or 85 now. And you wear white pants. Everyone else is in gold. You got a name on your back helmet. Nobody else does. You're in a different locker room. There's 16 guys trying to make it. And how can you make a difference and show them you belong? That was the biggest challenge, you know.
I always call those guys, and when you're building a team, and you built a team, you've coached. When you're building a team, you always got to have glue guys. You always got to have guys that can keep the chemistry rolling and keep everything together. And as a coach, when I had 15 guys, that guy who was number 15 was as important to me as that guy who was number 1. And I know in having conversations with you, I know you felt that way about Eric Parsegian playing for him and how he felt about you.
Mm-hmm. Let me interject here because we're still both coaching. Mm-hmm. I mean, we've got a group of 35 guys on our team. So, and you're one of my teammates, just like Tanner Camp is part of my team, and Tanya Condry and more. There's me, and you've got a tremendous team. And one of the things I love about Fran's team, Fran lets everybody know how long and the longevity of the people that work for Fran. Mm-hmm. I mean, you've got guys that have been there since the beginning, and ladies that have been there since the beginning. Mm-hmm. And when you treat people the right way, and you put together a great environment, that's a great business principle. But once it comes back down to them, but that's what I wanted to. Heck, I didn't want to jump on that, but we're still coaching to this day.
Yeah, I think you are too, but you ain't getting technicals or getting lit up like I am. But my point to you again, still, was it didn't matter. I mean, that coach made you feel good, and you were putting the uniform on. What mattered is the day that you couldn't put the uniform on anymore. And as long as they gave you a helmet and shoulder pads and pants, it didn't matter. You were still the competitor. I know I'm right at that.
Oh, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, like, Ara had such an influence in that. He was ahead of his time in my mind. Fundamentals, metrics, he was all about that, so he drilled and drilled and drilled and drilled fundamentals, metrics. This was in the 70s, early 70s, and I learned so much of how important coaches were. I don't think coming into college, I don't know that I respected coaches as much as I should have, but once I got there and saw what coaches did to us as players and how they created, say, a great team that maybe wasn't as talented as the team we beat, but the coaches made the difference. And to this day, I don't think people, to be honest, give coaches the credit. They're so important. All you hear is, well, you just need the players. And that's not the case. I mean, you need players, but you got to have the coach to make the culture, to pull everything together, like you do, Paul, like you do, Ron. I mean, it's the way it is.
Well, let's talk about one particular great team now. I wish Dr. Radigan was here because we could throw this at him.
Exactly.
Because you were part of a national championship team now.
Correct.
1973.
Correct.
Tommy Clements was your quarterback.
Yep.
Dave Casper was your tight end, and Dave Casper started the University of Tight Ends at Notre Dame. Okay,
Yep.
Followed by Ken McAfee.
Correct.
So talk about that team and some of the subtleties and some of the stories maybe that on the outside looking at, because I am a Notre Dame guy. I mean, talk about some of those things that we wouldn't know about that really helped to shape you a little bit.
Well, I think captains, you had Frank Pomerico, guard, hard nose. He's going to work his tail off. He's going to make you work your tail off. Real serious guy. Then you have Mike Townsend, fun guy, lighten everything up,
Whiteout, right?
No, he's a free safety.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And Willie was his brother, but he wasn't with us then. And then we had Casper was the third, right? Who, bright guy, talented as hell, drafted, I don't know, first round or whatever, and he knew it. So there's the confidence, we will win, So you had hard worker, you better work your tail off. Then you had, hey, we got to lighten up. This is a game. And then you have, we're great. We're great. So between the three of those guys, I think they were a great combo. And for me, as a kid coming in, I was only a sophomore. I still was overwhelmed. The first time I covered Casper, I held him kind of because he kind of beat me, and plays over, and he grabs me, takes his forearm, which is like two of mine, punches me in the chest and says, "Don't ever hold me again. I'll just rip your head off." And I looked at him, and then I turned and went, "Oh." Yeah.
Wait a minute, you're telling a kid from Long Island this. I've seen everything, right? I mean, I'm not from Elkhart. I'm from Long Island.
I know. Thought he was going to kill me. Yeah.
So then you get into that. Actually, it's not. I mean, it wasn't the national championship format, but you're playing in the Sugar Bowl and you're playing Alabama.
Correct.
I mean, Bear Bryant.
Correct.
Unquestionably Well, I don't know if you would put if you would have Nick Saban in there above Bear Bryant, but Bear Bryant was unquestionably the best college coach ever. And I looked this up today. Robin Weber.
Correct.
The pass play was 11 yards.
Correct. Oh, it was
11 yards. He had one reception.
Wow.
In that
seemed
season,
longer.
and it was 11 yards. Talk us through that. The last couple of minutes of that game when you guys came back to win that.
Right. There's a minute 54 left. I'm on the sidelines, clean as can be. My family was like, "We saw you. You were clean."
Number what?
Number three. Yep. And so we're going. Casper gets a penalty, so we back it up. It's 3rd and 8 on the 3. We're up 1. If we don't get a first down, they figure they're going to get it, kick a field goal, win the game, or no way we're going to pass. It's a safety. So we have double tight end. Robin Weber, who never played in the game. Tommy Clements has never thrown a pass in practice to him. And the thing's going to be, he's going to clear out. Casper's going to come around, and that's the way it's going to be. Everyone and his mother jumps on Casper. The corner who we talked to later from Alabama said, I didn't even know who he was. We didn't even have him on our roster. And so I let him go by. And lo and behold, and this is, I think, Ara. Ara's like, look around, find the best man. He's always about the best man. He's not about throw to the superstar only. No. So Clements in the end zone, looks around. Casper's triple covered. And he throws to the one kid he's never thrown a pass to, who bobbles it and then catches it, and we get the first down and run the clock out. That was unbelievable.
That's an amazing story.
Right.
An amazing story, and it's his only catch for the season.
It's the only catch of his life, I think.
Yeah, it's his only catch for the season.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it's the national championship game, 10-0. And then, so I mentioned your number for a reason.
Right.
So I want to see if you could figure this out, Mr. Condry.
He probably knows it.
No, he doesn't. I don't think he does. So Fran is number 3 for 2 years. And then a heralded recruit comes in, and Eric Parsegian says, son, you got to give that number up. Fran's like, come on, man, I'm number 3. And so Fran ends up giving that number 3 number away. Who was number 3?
So it was to a quarterback, correct?
Correct.
We can't pull anything over you.
It was to a quarterback. I know that. I just remember who the number 3 was. Now,
keep in mind, who was it?
I was covering covering the Big Ten at that time. So I mean, okay. So that would have been
maybe 74.
Joe somebody.
Yeah, he told you he knew.
Joe somebody. That's this guy. Did he play someplace in the NFL?
The great Joe Montana.
Yeah.
So when Joe Montana, did Joe Montana come up to you and say, "Hey, Fran, listen, I'm going to give you a wristwatch. Can you give me number 3?" Or wasn't like that back then?
No. Are you kidding? All of a sudden you get there junior year, and all of a sudden I got a different number. Nobody asked me if. It's not like nowadays. Give me a break. Like I was number 5. Oh, okay.
I'm number 5 now. No, that's a phenomenal story. And then you think about the names of those players that were involved in stuff like that. I mean Dave Casper, a Hall of Fame tight end. Ken McAfee then the next year a Hall of Fame tight end. Joe Montana was on our team. Arguably one of the best quarterbacks. And Joe Montana saw some action your senior year.
Correct.
I think
Dan Devine was our coach then the first year.
So Rick Slager was your starting quarterback, right. and Joe Montana got in, maybe 3 or 4 games.
Yeah.
Just a quick side. We need to take a break.
Yeah.
When we come back after the timeout. Early on in the days of regional radio sports, there was this movie that was being made in South Bend that turned out to be pretty spectacular from a football movie standpoint.
Yep.
Called RUDY. Mm-hmm. And I was there. I was on the set during the movie when it was being filmed, and I ended up having Rudy Rudiger on our radio show.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to talk about RUDY.
Okay.
There's some things that's in the movie that are incorrect.
Actually, 90%, I would say.
So we're going to talk about some of the things about that, but still,
oh boy,
Hollywood made it a wonderful film.
Correct.
And a great motivational piece.
Correct.
That we'll talk about when we can come back. We're live at Bethel Brady's. This is the Coach's Box, the Legends Edition, with Fran McDonald, former Notre Dame great in our own hearts and minds. And, of course, he's the guy who has done it all at McDonald Physical Therapy and Sports Rehab. They got locations at Notre Dame and, of course, right over here in South Bend / Mishawaka. We'll be back with more with Fran right after this short timeout on 91.1 FM The Globe and Regional Radio Sports.
From the creators of Hoosiers.
You ready, champ?
I've been ready for this my whole life.
Welcome back here to Bethel Brady's. I'm Paul Condry. Glad you can join us here from our Thursday night special place alongside Ron Hecklinski. Welcome to our Legend Special with Fran McDonald, Physical Therapy. Fran played at football at the University of Notre Dame. Been a long-time friend and supporter of our team. We were talking about, prior to the break, about Rudy Rudiger in the movie Rudy, and of course Angelo Pizzo, who did a tremendous job putting together a true Hollywood classic.
Yes.
There wasn't a lot of truth to this, but he did the same thing in the movie Hoosiers, and there was a lot more truth to the Hoosiers movie because that was based upon the 1954 Milan Miracle and that dynamic. But getting back to the Rudy scenario, there were not Dan Devine was. I had Dan Devine on my radio program shortly after this movie came out, and he was not a happy camper because it made him look like the biggest horse's butt in all of college football.
Right.
The whole thing with the guys walked in and threw the jerseys on the table, that never happened. And there's been a lot of things. You were there. There was a lot of those things that didn't happen, but it made a great movie, and it's still been a good recruiting piece for Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it's ironic. I mean, I always give Rudy credit for, thinking of the concept, making it happen in the sense that he found the fraternity brother who then got your buddy to write a new script. And the first time I saw Rudy after the movie, I was in Texas at a Texas game, and he had done a talk for the RV industry down there, believe it or not. And it's the first thing Rudy said, to be honest with you, he goes, "Fran, I didn't write it. I mean, I know there was a lot of not truth. He was very apologetic. And I was like, hey, I love the movie.
It was great.
Yeah, I thought it was great. That's okay. Calm down.
That's Hollywood. That's what they do.
Yeah. So, I mean, he knew, too, that there was a lot of things fabricated, but it ended up, we all love the movie. I have the movie. I mean, so, yeah.
The Heck, it was shifting gears on that. I mean, you look at what Angelo Pizzo did with that movie, Rudy, and we all grew up. I mean, we're in the same age group, and we all grew up listening, hearing the stories of the 1954 Milan Indians and the miracle at Bobby Pump, and and I mean that was a great story that birthed out of Angelo Pizzo's brainchild. I mean, that was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think anytime that you can be involved or watch those older films, and they always, I mean, bring great feelings back to your heart.
Mm-hmm.
And as a basketball coach, watching that and watching the practices, watching Gene Hackman act that whole scenario out. I mean, I watch it every year still today. Every year I pull that movie out and I watch it. But one movie I want to throw at you, and I'm hoping Fran may have seen this too, the Brian Piccolo story with Walter Gail Sayers, and Brian Piccolo.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean
James
that's
Caan.
the same kind of movie. James Caan and Billy D. Williams.
Oh yeah.
And so you ask yourself, how much of that is true? I don't care how much of it is true.
Exactly.
I mean, the story just warmed my heart and broke my heart at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was not, and I grew up a non-Bears fan.
So you're so,
but I still think it's one of the greatest.
Non-Notre Dame, non-Bears. What are we doing here, man?
I'm a Big Ten guy.
He's open-minded.
Yeah,
okay,
there you go. I mean, the reality of it is, I grew up a Packers fan. I grew up in a cul-de-sac with all the Bears fans, and of course I was the lone wolf like always. And and I figured I'm going to be, Bart Starr was my guy, and so that was it. So, but getting back to the whole Notre Dame, I'm going to walk ourselves back. The Notre Dame experience for you. And remember, we were talking about the program kid, and this is what I wanted to refer to. Mm-hmm. I mean, you were good enough to walk on, so you were a pretty good athlete coming into Notre Dame. But when you get to Notre Dame at the level that they were at that point in time, one of the elite programs in the country, let's face it, we're talking, top three, every bit of it in that 1, 2, 3 category. Mm-hmm. The dynamics of just even being a part of that, whether you're just, it took a lot of intestinal fortitude and a lot of gumption. So I want to go back and I want you to tell me, because you weren't guaranteed any playing time.
Right.
You weren't guaranteed you're ever going to dress. You weren't guaranteed anything.
Correct.
So I want to know where that intestinal fire came from in Fran McDonald's life.
Yeah, boy, I wish I knew. All I know is I have some to prove thing inside.
Is a chip on your shoulder?
I would think so. Because when I was even in high school and I was quarterback and corner, my coach said, Fran, but you're too little to go to
Yeah.
Notre Dame. You should go to Delaware. Or you shouldn't go there. My parents even were like, Fran, why would you want to do that? You can get a scholarship here. You would have to pay your way there. Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe because I was little, or I don't know. When I was growing up, I wasn't, big, but then I had success in sports. So it was a belief thing. You just got to work hard enough and believe and just just put that head down and make it happen.
So you make the decision to go into, and first of all, a lot of people may or may not know, but you've got your doctorate degree, and we never call you doc because we don't want to get hit upside the noggin. But the reality of it is you went on your own. You went to Illinois initially, and then now you're in a situation where you decided that you're going to come back to the home base where you spent your college days, and you're going to open up your own business. And once again, you kind of have that same mindset that you have when you're playing sports. I'm going to go in this. I have an idea on what I want to achieve. You can dream it, you can achieve it mindset, but you still have to go through the work. You still have to do all the detailed stuff. You have to be able to go out and prove every single day that I am worthy of the trust of this doctor or that doctor or whatever the case may be. So the direct correlation of what you had gone through, the years you were at Notre Dame as a walk-on football player, are the same type of scenarios that you had in business. So is it safe to say that the experience at Notre Dame as a walk-on player helped build your business to the success it is today?
Absolutely. And, you bring that up. True story is I'm in Illinois, and I'm succeeding in physical therapy. And, I was fortunate to see Walter Payton, Chuck Long, a lot of pro athletes. We'd see the Bears and the Blackhawk players because the orthopedists around were great. But so I have 3 satellites, and I'm working my tail off, loving what I do, but not home. So we start to have kids, and we're not doing real well because I'm not home.
Right.
But I love what I do, and this is the dilemma. I believe in family. And then, to be honest, we come to a game here, and one of my best friends is noticing my wife and I aren't doing well. And he's like, Fran, I don't care how successful you're doing up there. You guys are not going to make it if you don't get your head together. And I couldn't figure out how to organize. And so what happened was he suggested, why don't you start over, come down. We have 2 kids. I'm scared to death. I don't know anyone down here. I swore I wouldn't come down because it were the 4 toughest years of my life down here. I thought I was a good athlete, and I wasn't. I thought I was brilliant, and I wasn't. I thought I was a great guy, and I questioned that. So I mean, I was 0 for 3, and so then it was once again, family, faith, work. What's the most important thing? So, I mean, I never got so sick in my life when I made that decision to come down here because I didn't know anyone. But you hit it on the head. Why? People said to me, Fran, I'll invest in you. I'll give you money. I'll go, no. I don't want anyone because I will not work as hard. I will not dig as deep. If you help, I will not. If I have nothing and I either fail or succeed, that's how I work. That's how it makes me work. And so, that's why I had to get 3 doc notes. And I went to docs and I said, do you have patients that you've done surgery on, been to therapy, they're a pain in your butt, and you just would like to get rid of them? Send them to me. If I don't do well, I'm going to go out. Like I'm not going to work. If I succeed, send me more, tell people. And I did that with 3 docs, and it worked. And then people started telling other people, and then other people, and it was word of mouth. This small town was fantastic. And but if you said, Fran, is it the same desire? Is it this? Yeah. Is it exactly? Because 2 people wanted to give me money. But I was like, I have to start from nothing. If I'm nothing, I'll work hard enough.
I've had several students who've written stories or papers. Matter of fact, Dante Stanton, who's on the back end of this call right now, who's engineering our program at Goshen College. These guys have all done stories on us for part of their class because they interned for me. Tanner Campus across the way, he'll tell you they interned for me. But one of the questions that always gets asked is, was it fear of failure that motivated you, or was it because you just had drive for success? And for me, I don't know how you are, Heck, when you were coaching. the fear of failure was far greater than the moment I know that I was going to win. I hated losing more than I liked to win. And for me, that was the ultimate thing. I'm going to fail. I can't fail. It wasn't that I was arrogant in regards to that, but that was my mindset. And I don't know how you were when you were coaching high school basketball. I don't know if it was the same when you were coaching in the McDonald's All-Star game and you got an All-Star line. But I hated to lose. And Tanya, to this day, and this is not a lie. She's right over there. We don't play board games at my house.
We don't at my house.
We don't play any games
Correct.
at my house.
Correct.
Because Paul's fear of failure is supersedes anything. So we just avoid those competitive situations. And I raised my kids. People are going to let your kids win. I said, absolutely not.
Right.
You're going to have to learn to beat me. When my son first beat me in miniature golf the first time, he was coming back home from the United States Marine Corps, coming back from boot camp. And we met him in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. And we decided we're going to go play a little golf. And he beat me for the first time. It was as if he had won the Super Bowl. He's running around like a mad fool because he finally won. But I mean, that's the kind of drive where I was at. And I don't know, were you like that?
No, I don't think there's any question about that. Anybody that is, has a great ratio of success always has that fear of failure. Yep. They always have the quality that I define as it. They have the it factor. When you went to Notre Dame and you walked on, you had the it factor, and it didn't matter if you got 32 minutes a game or you got 2 hours in practice.
Right.
I mean, the it factor pushed you through all of it. Mm-hmm. When I went through a liver transplant, it wasn't anything. It wasn't anything about so and so calling me. It wasn't anything about somebody like sending me a card or flowers saying, hey, heck, you can make it through this, pull through, baby.
Right.
No, it was nothing of that. It was everything that I did when I was an athlete and how I pushed myself through something.
Right.
And that's how I got through.
Right.
And I would tell anybody that. And in coaching, the fear of failure is the number one thing.
Absolutely.
It's the number one thing that will separate. I mean, there's a lot of good coaches, and there's a lot of coaches, and there's a lot of great coaches. The great coaches will always tell you about that fear of failure and sending their team, no matter what sport it is, sending their team on the field, on the court, on whatever, not prepared. And they know, and when they do that and they get beat, they know it's on them. They know that game is on them, and I don't care how bad their team played. I mean, they know that, and so that fear of failure is, and it's not only in sports; it's in your business. It's in what you do every day. It's in what you do every day. I mean, I watch Fran 3 days a week.
Sure. You're doing your rehab at his place.
So my wife tells me this all the time. She says, "Ronnie, you never cry." I don't understand. Like your mother passed away and you didn't cry. You internalize everything. So I told her a few weeks ago, I said, Monica, I got to be straight up with you. I cry 3 times a week every time Fran rehabs me. Every time Fran rehabs me, he closes the door to the exam room. He takes me to another level. I scream. He opens up the door and screams out, "It's a boy!" Every time. But that's why your success ratio at getting patients through, that's why doctors send those tough cases to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, patients come up, and I'm sure people come up to you all the time, Paul. You too, Ron. And the lady will tell me, Fran, look what you built. I mean, aren't you proud, And I go, it's all about today. It's who I touch today. I wasn't brought up that way. It's like, how good am I today? And tomorrow, how good am I tomorrow? There's no proud here. Like, it could go tomorrow.
Exactly.
So, and that's that.
You got to reinvent yourself every single day.
That's right.
We're live at Bethel Brady's. We're going to return with the legendary Dr. Fran McDonald. We'll do that right after this short timeout, live from Bethel Brady's on 91.1 FM The Globe and Regional Radio Sports. Welcome back here to Bethel Brady's. I'm Paul Condry, along with Coach Ron Hecklinski. Welcome to our Legends Show. Of course, those of you who are going to be watching this on the video, we hope that you'll enjoy it. We've got several of these. We've got 8 of these Legends programs scheduled. And Ron and I are putting together a unbelievable package of, I hope that they're going to be motivational as well as enlightening and entertaining people that we've kind of, and to be quite frank with our listening audience, these are people that not only do we like, but we also admire. We admire them for what they've accomplished and who they are as human beings. So the people that are going to be on the Legends Show are some of the greatest people that we've been engaged with during our career. And if you don't know, and you've heard Ron Hecklinski with me, Ron has an amazing story in his own right. Coach Heck has had a liver transplant and many, many years ago, and has battled back through all kinds of adversity, and we'll get to that story at another time. But just a quick reminder that stick around for throughout the course of the school year. Every month we're going to have a Legends program, so some neat things. Coming up next week on the Coach's Box, Katie Weiss, the head women's volleyball coach at Bethel University, their team ranked in the NEI poll. Keith Kinder, the local head football coach at Mishawaka High School, has come in our way. And then the following week we'll be talking some high school or some college soccer as well as some wide variety of other things. So a lot of things on the dais. We'll be talking a lot of high school football. And, of course, don't forget tomorrow on Regional Radio Sports, 4 high school football games, especially a big one right here on 91.1 FM, The Globe. The Penn Kingsmen will be down in Cincinnati to take on mighty St. X. So that should be a neat game.
Wow.
Join Mike Fleshman and Matt Copsey for all the details. Okay, getting back to our good friend Fran McDonald. Fran, of course, proprietor of the McDonald Physical Therapy in South Bend and in Notre Dame. Fran, when you talk about the athletic standpoint, something that in your business model, you're dealing with a wide variety of different types of people, from just an everyday guy like me who's busted up his shoulder or busted up his knee to some of the greatest athletes on this planet. Mm-hmm. And so you have to and Ron's the same way. And I'm going to bring this back into the coaching vernacular because I'm going to throw this question at both of you guys. Because, heck, when you were coaching, you had a wide variety of teams that you had to prepare for. You had a team that maybe having 2 All-Americans or 2 All-State guys. And you have a team over here that had 5 really good kids, maybe weren't all a state type of kids, but you had to change your game plan and how you worked with them. Fran, in your situation, you have to change your game plan. For Joe Blow-like Paul Condry, who's going in there, you're going to have to do things a little bit different versus an accomplished collegiate athlete in the prime of his physical condition. So can you speak to the mindset that you have to have and the flexibility your mind has to have to realize that, well, Paul can't move his knee this far back because he's old. He's an old, bald, fat guy versus some guy who's got 2% body fat.
Well, first of all, there's one similarity in the 2 cases you're bringing in. It's what's inside. That's the same. So in your case, it isn't that big of a difference because you have to call that guy. Like when I meet athletes of any age that are hardworking athletes, typically they're going to tell you it's not that bad. I don't know why I'm here. You know what? I think I can get through this. And then you start to examine them, and they're in misery, right? But that's their old athletic thing. I can play coach, hurt, I'm good. So if you don't know that as a therapist, you miss that. You well, they don't seem that bad, know, and you miss the whole deal. So when I'm checking some ex-athlete, I'm usually pushing them. Emotionally, I'm pushing them because I'm going tough. I got to find this person's limit. They're stinking tough as nails. We got to get them to where they got to be, whether you want to walk 6 miles one day or not. And that athlete from Notre Dame has to play and be 100%. I mean, it's what's inside is important. Now, if you said, well, the difference between you have to deal with this soccer striker from Notre Dame who has to get back and he's got this knee problem, and you have a 68-year-old lady who just had her total knee and she's never been injured. Well, that's a big difference.
Yeah.
Because then you got to go, okay, I have 7 sisters, a mom, try to find out what's going on emotionally, trying to find out how I can get her to bend more and still know that I care, things like that. That's totally different than dealing with you and dealing with the striker because you both have the same mentality, right? It's just I'm trying to accomplish.
But you've got to be, as a coach in the position that you're in.
Definitely.
You've got to be able to coach all those different kids. Heck, I mean, you've got kids on your bench that probably played 30 seconds in a game, and you got a guy who's never came off the floor. But you've got to figure out his hot button that's going to motivate him to be able to do it. So really, when Fran's coaching in the rehab scenario, you're having to coach in the same scenario, right?
Well, I mean, I don't think there's any question that you really can't coach two players the same way.
Right.
I mean, it's almost you put the parameters there, but there's almost little tweaks that you do on every kid from an individual standpoint. And it's funny you said that about maybe athletes that come in, because when the doctor told me that I needed a liver transplant, I'm 40 years old. I'm playing ball every day. I'm working out. I'm running. I said, Doc, no, I don't. I mean, that's not going to happen. I run 2 miles a day. I'll run 4 miles a day. I'm in the weight room 2 hours, 3 times a week. I'll be in the weight room 3 hours. I can handle this, and I can fix this.
Right.
And so when it came down to the fact that he said, no, you can't, man, and you need to understand this, and you need to understand that you're going to be on a transplant list. Now, that was a lot for me to understand, and that was a lot for me to accept. And really, I don't really think I accepted it until maybe I got the call about the transplant, because I know they gave me a manual to read, and I never read the manual. Of course I wouldn't read the manual. No. And so after I had the transplant, I sat down one day and I said, let me read this. It was step by step. It was perfect.
Exactly.
But I mean, that's the beauty of a doctor, to be able to have that kind of a bedside manner and that ability to relate to his patients, or a coach relate to his players. And those players understand that he doesn't treat all of us the same, but we all have parameters, that we have to do things in.
Years ago, one of my dear friends, and this wasn't on our pre-script notes here, but I grew up in Northwest Indiana, and two of the greatest athletes that ever played in Gary during the 60s was Dave and Don Shelbourne. Okay, and so these two guys, Dave ended up going to play at Northwestern, was a quarterback up there, but Don ended up going to be, I think, and I'll get your opinion on this, many people feel it was kind of the czar of ACLs. So Doc Shelbourne of the Shelbourne Knee Clinic down in Indianapolis, he's not as active in that business anymore,
right?
Because he's out enjoying the golf course. But the reality of it is here's a guy who came from an athletic background, and just as Heck talked about, there's a special thing that happens, and I think a lot of this has to do not only with assistant coaches, but I always like to bring anything back to head coaches. Assistant coaches find themselves in very unique situations, because more often than not, Ron's over here, he's ready to chew somebody's backside from here today and all the way to tomorrow, and the assistant coach is coming back, it'll be okay, and that's kind of that role.
Right.
But Dr. Don Shelbourne, I spent a day with him. I got a chance to shadow him about 20 years ago, and I watched his bedside manner. It's like nothing like I'd ever seen in my entire life. The way he engaged with people, he looked people in the eyes. It wasn't always down looking at his chart. Not to say that that's not important, but he made every single person that he saw that entire day feel like they were the only person he was seeing the entire day. And that's a really, really special gift. And to me, as the head coach of his team, when he was at the time, because he was the top doc there, I mean, that whole mindset in their institution, their group, their business, was about everybody's the most important person that he's going to see that day. And I think that goes back to coaching again. Comes back from being a part of a great team, understand the dynamics of athletics, and he'll tell you the reason he learned to become a great doctor in his own right is because of athletics.
Right. And funny you should bring up Don, because I'm in Illinois treating these athletes that are coming back from Wabash, and there's a young guy, Dr. Shelbourne, who hasn't become an ACL great guru yet. And the kid would go, the guy says I'm probably not going to bring back. I call him up. Hey, don't tell these guys they're not playing. I'm telling them they're playing. I'm getting them back, And then years pass. I come down here, and now he's the czar of ACLs. Like, there's 2 guys in the country at the time, Stedman in Colorado and Shelburne in Indiana. Hard to believe, but those are the 2 superstars. And so I call him up, and I go, hey, I want to come down and see you work. He goes, come on down, Fran. And I spent the day with him, and it's exactly like you said. What's remarkable is the time of the patient is important. He's got nurses that upgrade him and say, hey, Ron's in here, his sister was in here last year, and he goes in and he's ready. And what a professional, unbelievable organization. You hit it on the head, and it's amazing.
But it came from the athletic background.
Yep.
It came from
Discipline.
being a part of the disciplines that athletics teaches you. And I'm not saying that you can't be successful without having an athletic background. I'm just trying to share with our listening audience, from our background, how athletics, athletic failure helped us become good at what we do in our professional life. And it wasn't about success as athletes as much as it was about failure. I'm a firm believer that failure was the greatest teacher in the world. I don't know how you guys feel. As much as I hate losing, but failure absolutely sucks.
If you're open to learning from it.
Yeah.
As you know,
absolutely.
some people fail and they
they crawl in a hole and die.
Right.
It's one of those things. Coach, I don't know if you were that way. I mean, you played. I mean, you were on the biggest stage. I mean, when you were at Anderson High School and playing in the Wigwam in front of 10, 12,000 people every night. I mean, I don't know if there was a bigger stage in Indiana than when you were there. And I don't know what that environment would have been like to be a part, and the pressure of winning every game at Anderson High School. And then you have this guy Norm Held or something. You got to follow that kind of legend. There are so many variables that are out there. And
the standard answer always is nobody can put more pressure on than I put on myself.
Right.
Correct.
That's crazy, though, because that is, I mean,
exactly.
there is outside pressure, man. I don't care who you are. But, I mean, with failure, unless you learn to evaluate yourself properly,
Correct.
I mean, failure does nothing.
Correct.
Because you can still have a belief in your mind that what you're doing is right.
Yep.
Because you don't evaluate yourself properly. And I tell you, John Wooden has a million quotes.
Oh, yeah.
He has a million great quotes, and one of his is how to evaluate yourself and come to the term that you did fail, and this is what you need to do not to fail. But proper evaluation is the whole key, right?
Objectivity.
I mean,
of
you
self.
can't. I mean, you can't open the door and scream, "It's a boy!"
Right.
Unless you're the best at it. Or it's crowning. He's crowning. I'm screaming. My shoulders on the floor. He's crowning.
Ron Hecklinski just recently had shoulder surgery, and Fran's rehabbing. So this to give you some context on that. We're going to take our final timeout. Come back in our final couple seconds. We're going to hit Fran with the biggest question of them all. We'll do that after this timeout on 91.1 FM The Globe. Welcome back here at Regional Radio Sports in Bethel. Brady's. I'm Paul Condry along with Coach Ron Hecklinski. It's been a blast hanging out with you. Thanks to Andrew Kirksey and Tanner Camp for all the logistics. Thanks to Dante Stanton, my young superstar back at the studios at 91.1 FM The Globe. He's a generational talent, folks. We're glad to have him being a part of what we're doing. Well, we're here with Fran McDonald, McDonald Physical Therapy, who, of course, as I mentioned earlier, had a very unique career at the University of Notre Dame, part of the national championship, played for the legendary Ara Parsegan. Fran, one of the things people ask me a lot, they'll say, how you doing today, Paul? I says, well, I'm doing it's good to be seen, not viewed. Having said that, what do you think people are going to say about Fran McDonald when Fran McDonald dies and goes into the loving arms of Jesus Christ, your Savior? What do you think they're going to say about Fran McDonald?
Well, I pray they'll say he cared a great deal about people. He wasn't afraid to be open about his faith, his feelings about life, family, and he was just someone who cared a great deal and was kind. I mean, to me, that's a tough, almost emotional question. Ron says, I don't cry that much, but I just hope people believe that I cared and wanted to help,
I think and having known you as long as I have, and it's been 30 years, I think what we will know is this, that the Lord will say, "Well done, my good and faithful servant."
That'd be great.
That's what I think is going to happen.
I believe that, actually.
I believe that too. I believe that's going to happen for you. All right, final thought. Notre Dame football 2022. Do you like where it's going? How was that for a segue?
Boy, you are. People ask me, and I know people get ticked off, if I had to be, based on my assessment of things, sad to say because I always want to win every game. I hope we're 9-3, but I wonder if we'll be 8-4. Would I be disappointed? Yes, but realistically, I don't know that we have all. We're learning. I think we're learning, and when you learn, you make mistakes, and until you learn to, I think, become, like I was lucky. I mean, I had Ara who,
the benchmark was pretty high, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he said, when they asked him one time, what prepared you to coach at Notre Dame in the stress? He said, when I went 0-8 at Northwestern, then I was prepared. I mean, here we got a poor guy, young guy, first job.
Yep.
Head coach of one of the toughest places to play anywhere in the country. And they're saying, yeah, we know you haven't done it, but make it happen. I think that's a tough place to be.
You think he'll do well? What's your gut feeling?
Well, statistically, there's only one assistant coach that ever came to Notre Dame and succeeded. Unfortunately, his name was Newt Rockne. But so it's a tough metrically.
Yeah.
But do I pray that he does well? I think he's a great man, and I think he cares a great deal.
I think the kids relate to him. I know
Yes.
I know the recruits.
Yep.
Because I've had a chance to talk to a lot of the recruits and work with our Indiana Football Digest. The recruits are very excited about the culture that he's going to create.
Yes. I hope he's getting a lot of help from his mentors because, it's a tough, come on.
It is.
I wouldn't want to have that job at 36.
No.
God.
I wasn't anywhere near to have that job at 36.
Yeah.
I was tough having a job I had at 36. Great to see you.
That's the difference between you guys because I'd love that job at 36, man.
Oh, wow.
To get in there he's got a great coaching staff.
Yes.
Great coaching staff.
Yes.
He's got great resources.
Right.
I think he's going to do great because he's well prepared and he cares.
I pray you're right because he's got a great message and he cares deeply. Yeah.
I agree.
That's a step in the right direction. Kids will know. You can't fool kids.
Right.
You can't fool them, can you, Coach?
Nope. But, give me those deals at 36. At 36, we were so young, and all we had was a 24-hour day, right?
Right.
24-hour day to work our tails off, and we all believed we could do it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
So I got all the faith in the world in it.
I was more concerned if I could get up on the stage and sing Don McLean's American Pie and get all 8 verses right.
I'm sure you did, though.
I'm sure I did.
Knowing you, I'm sure you did.
All right, that's going to do it for our program here tonight. A special thanks to my good friend Ron Hecklinski for our Legends Show. We're going to come back and do this again on the 6th of October.
Yes.
Stay tuned for that. We'll have all the details. We're working out that shows, but we have some killer shows that are coming your way. I want to pass along our heartfelt condolences to our very dear friend, Ryan Varga, the head boys basketball coach at South Bend, Washington High School. His mom, Connie, passed away. She was a part of the Teachers Credit Union for 47 years, the longest reigning employee in the history of Teachers Credit Union. She passed away of pancreatic cancer. Tomorrow we're going to the funeral, but our thoughts and prayers go out to Ryan and his family. For Tanner Camp, for Andrew Kirksey, for Coach Ron Hecklinski, to the legend, Fran McDonald. We'll be back again with you next Wednesday here on 91.1 FM, The Globe. For Dante Stanton, I'm Paul Condry. God bless you all. Semper Fidelis. Good night, everyone.